Welcome to Power Onward, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on the technologies, people, and partnerships shaping the future of power.
For a lot of our customers, uptime isn't just a metric. It's what keeps their operations running and their people safe. From hospitals and data centers to mines and offshore platforms, when power goes down, the consequences are real. Fortunately, you're never far from support, whether you're in Indiana or Indonesia. Cummins' global sales and service network spans 190 countries with over 3,700 locations and over 19,000 certified dealers worldwide. Today, we're tapping into tech and how it helps us provide global support with local expertise needed to help our customers win. Hi, I'm Kim.
Hi, I'm Erica. I lead Global Sales and Service.
And I'm Robert Simmons. I lead service and support for the DBU.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today. Let's just kick it right off, Erica. Your roles sit at the intersection of customer trust today and then also future-ready decisions for tomorrow. You lead a vast team of people driving excellence. And when the stakes are this high, what does it take to go from a simple point of contact to a trusted partner for our customers?
I would say if you want to go from a point of contact to a trusted partner, it's all about leaning in and responding. They want to know that you care, you respond, you get them back up and running, because the customer, it's all about uptime. And so being dependable in that moment and being consistent everywhere in the world builds trust.
And I think that one of the keys is our customers they're very savvy. They're used to mechanical equipment. They know it's going to break down. So part of how we build the trust is we get them back up and running quickly. If you look at our field service engineers as an example, we've got field service engineers spread across the globe. They're all over the place. And the combined experience of them is over 3,600 years.
Wow.
So there's a lot of experience out there in how we get customers back up and running quickly. So that's the key, I think, is customers expect the downtime. How do we minimize it?
And I would say even on the call center, when we aren't looking at the field service engineers who are out there, the technicians who are out there, our level 2 are all technicians with years and years of experience who have come out of the field. And now this is the place, the first stop for calls for people who are still in the field.
Absolutely.
While sales often gets the spotlight, service is where our relationships are truly tested. How does a service experience specifically shape long-term trust while customers may be experiencing downtime?
Customers expect equipment to go down. How we respond in getting it back up is critical. And so we emphasize preventative maintenance. We work with the customers, whether it's CSAs, which is a customer support agreement, and or we also have predictive analytics. So we're actually able to see the machine, monitor the machine from a distance, and see issues before they happen. When you can do that, the customer doesn't experience as much downtime. They're back up quicker, and then from that point on, we're their call all the time. So I love sales the first one, and service sells everyone after that. It is true.
Yeah, I think the predictive analytics is really important, and those tools help us go a long way to help prevent downtime for the customer. But we've also looking at using data and technology to bring in new tools when they do go down. AI, for example, and some of the automation that we're starting to put in place is allowing us to do things faster and more efficiently so that we can get customers back up and running quickly.
In previous conversations, I've also heard that with this predictive maintenance, it allows the customer to understand, like, oh, it's not that severe, it's not that dire. Let's plan it on your time, so they can also plan around any potential
Absolutely.
downtime.
Yes, that's exactly the point. And if we catch it in advance, they may be doing regular maintenance.
Right.
And we're allowed to do the fix at the same time. So it does minimize them going down twice.
And if you look at customers like mining and data centers where it's mission critical that the equipment operates, being able to do that in the regular maintenance intervals allows them to make sure that equipment is always available during the production cycles. So that's super critical.
And for the customer and for the company, it's more cost effective, right?
Absolutely.
I was just about to go there.
We are able to get them back up and running with one visit, not two. And if we catch it in advance, it's an easier fix, right? Versus a longer potential fix.
Yeah, not only easier, but we mentioned less cost effective, or we might say less damaging in some cases, right? So if we let it go to failure, it's usually more expensive, more parts, more labor to fix it than if we prevent it. So
Yes.
to Erica's point, it's cheaper for us and for the customer.
And then we all win. We're all happy.
It's a win-win-win.
Win-win. That's what it's all about. We're partners.
From a global perspective, what does it take to consistently deliver reliable services across so many different markets and regions?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the customer experience is really at the heart of what we want to achieve, right? So that consistently high level of customer service around the globe, giving that high level experience is kind of the key. And we start that really by global standards, right? So we set global standards on how we execute, how we meet the customer, how we interface with the customer, et cetera. Those global standards really drive it. But it comes down to the execution is really at the regional level. So the global standards get us starting, then consistent execution across the regions really helps us achieve that consistent level of customer experience across the globe.
We also measure every single point of customer interaction.
Wow.
And we take that and we say, is this a delighter? Is this a detractor? And then we feed that information from our customer experience survey back into the process, and we look at, do we need training for technicians? Do we need training for operations? And then we go back and we work with the regions to help them with making sure that they're following the standards and they have everything they need and the people are skilled to the level that we expect to give them to live up to our brand.
Yeah, I think one additional point there that's probably key is good enough is never good enough, right? So
Right.
to Erica's point, we take a look at all those feedback mechanisms to make sure we have continuous improvement in it as well.
It's very intentional, it's very thoughtful, and it's all to make sure we provide the utmost best customer service, if not perfect, because you said good enough isn't good enough.
That's right.
So
Right.
near perfect is what we're looking at.
If you think about data centers, those are a large customer of us. They expect a 99.9999% uptime. So when you're living it with those expectations, you have to be the best of the best. And that's the standard that the Cummins brand brings.
Absolutely.
It's evident that this is a massive operation. It's very difficult, I can imagine, to have this global service channel, but have that local expertise. And like you mentioned earlier, we have channels in over 190 countries. So we've talked about how trust is still built locally. How do your teams place that balance between global standards while still building those strong local relationships?
So we have to have the global standards, but we execute regionally. So we have to have flexible processes and tools that allow us to modify those processes in the region, right? Because not every customer in every location is the same. Customers have different expectations in different markets. Mining is not the same as data centers, for example. So we have to be able to flex those global processes to meet the needs of the customers. Having that adaptable, dynamic model with the new global service process really helps us achieve that, right? So we've updated our service process so we can modify it and for every service event to maximize the impact to the customer.
And when we think about that, we're talking about 80% ruthless standardization. And so even all mining customers aren't the same. So 20% in the local area needs to be different. In one mine, they may use a different engine than in another mine across the globe. They may be mining coal versus gold versus copper or anything, right? And so how you show up for that customer, what their needs are, what is the training needs of the technicians at that location, it can all be different. And so in our minds, it's all about we come with the top level standard, then we work with the region to say, what is it that you need and how can we support you in upskilling your people for your individual localized needs for your customers in your territory.
And the key is building that in up front, right? So we don't have a one size fits all. We know it's going to be customized in the region. So having that into the process up front is super critical. And it gets the buy-in from our stakeholders.
Last point, but the 80% provides the consistency for the global customers to experience it. They know that it might be a little different, but I want the same response time. If I call, I expect to be called back in this time frame. If my equipment is expected to be up in this time frame, I expect it to be up. How I deal with paying you, I want it to be the same process. So those are where we're leaning in on that ruthless standardization.
The baseline of excellence.
Yes.
That's all that is.
Yes.
Erica, you've mentioned that one of our secret weapons is having employees get out into the field and see what the technicians go through. What are customers telling you right now that is influencing how Cummins shows up differently?
Well, I would say the reason it's so important for us to get out is to really understand the expectation of uptime. Every customer is not the same. You could have a trucking company and you're a mom and pop. You're not running 24/7. And so you have a lot more downtime that we can work with. But if you think about what we said about the data center, that experience is completely different. And so when people understand that, you show up differently. If I'm a parts person sitting in the office and I get a call, I think, oh, it's okay for it to be there tomorrow. Well, depending on the customer, it's not. We need it yesterday to make sure that we keep them experiencing their uptime that they expect. And think about data centers. People, they hear data centers, but data centers is why we are able to do this podcast.
Right.
Right.
And do a lot of things. Like I mentioned,
Right.
I pulled up maps to get here. I'm sure you
Yes.
were streaming some music on the way here to get ready for this, but it is very critical to everything that we do, and it's seamless. But it's seamless because of uptime.
Just think about how upset you would be if your map didn't work because the data center is not functioning, the genset didn't operate. The customers don't see all that in the background, right? Our employees do. That's what drives the urgency, to Erica's point.
And even if you think about why it's important, even for engineers to get out into the field, ergonomically, we need to care about our employees and how they're working on equipment. If you're an engineer and you're sitting in the office and you don't have to tear it down and experience it, then you design it differently. But real life is different than sometimes just on paper. And so that makes a big difference in how we design our products because we're thinking about the customer, but we're also thinking about our employees too because
Absolutely.
they're important.
Robert, how is Cummins evolving its sales and service models to meet the future needs of our customers?
Sales and service has to evolve like everything else does. So if you look at it today, we're really starting to lean in to a lot of the digital technologies. The everyday digital is kind of the tag word we use for it at Cummins. But it's really about how we use the data that we have to be better, right? So we use some AI to make the troubleshooting efforts more efficient. We have automation that leans through the data and pulls information out to make it easier. Our field service engineers, for example, they'd spend hours doing research, and now they can do it in minutes with the help of some of the technology. So the technology really helps us, but not just in the data aspect. So we have remote technologies as well that allows the experts to dial in, if you will, right? So our remote diagnostics, we have the ability for FSCs on an airplane to use the Wi-Fi and connect to an engine that's on a truck moving across the highway in the U.S., for example. So those types of technologies allow us to bring the experts to the problem and help them work it more efficiently. So that really is helping driving us into the next level of how our next generation, so to speak, of troubleshooting and repairs for the customers.
But even if I think about AI and some of the enhancements, it's driving towards the future while still honoring the past.
Absolutely.
Because we have all of these new technologies that are rolling out next year. We have data centers, we have mining, but we've been in mining for 100 years.
Right.
Right? We have customers who have been our customers for 30 years. So AI allows us to capture all of the information. And as we start to see FSCs retire and we're building up new FSCs, we are able to capture their skills, not the human part of it, but to be able to ramp people up quicker and protect the longevity of all of our customers who have always been there because they're equally important.
Right. This way, they're not missing a beat.
Exactly.
They're not missing a single beat, and they've got this backlog, so to speak, to help them amplify and elevate into that role quickly.
The way data centers are ramping up, I don't care what company it is, we all need to skill up our people quicker. And so we just want to be the leader in doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about making those employees more efficient so that they can do the work easier, quicker. It takes away some of the frustration, some of the non-value added work. That's where the AI is really leaning in to help.
There are so many fears out there when it comes to AI. Everyone is afraid that if we ramp up on AI, it's because we want to eliminate people. No, it's just the point I made a little while ago is data centers are ramping up at just unprecedented levels. We can't get enough people, but if we can take the experts that we have and make them more productive, we are able to scale up without always having all of the people, and that makes a big difference in improving the productivity of the people we have. And so it's not only do they support the customer better, they also can have work-life balance better. It's a win-win all the way around if you make people more productive.
I will say, I think like most people, I'm a millennial. I grew up in a way where I had to research and rent books from the library if I really wanted to put together an essay or do something for college, for high school, whatever. I was a little AI averse, but we talk about equipping our people, and one of our work plan items this year is how we adopt AI to make our processes more streamlined, to really improve our day-to-day, and that seems to be the case across the board.
Well, and it's still artificial intelligence. You still need people in the process to be able to review, is this accurate? So it gives us everything we need quicker, but then the people come in and they're still driving the end solution. Right. And so AI is our partner. It's not a replacement. It's a tool.
Yeah, it's a tool that makes us more efficient. So, to Erica's point, you don't, if you're a field engineer and you've got this really complicated problem, you don't want AI to just jump to a solution if it's hallucinating, right?
Right.
So the expert has to be able to look at the data that came in and make sure it's appropriate to the situation and then develop the final solution. So AI helps them be much more efficient, helps them get the data faster that they need to make the decisions, but it doesn't make the decision at the end of the day.
Right. And it doesn't turn a wrench.
Exactly.
As complexity increases across industries like mining, oil and gas, and data centers, what gives you confidence that Cummins is positioned to stay ahead and provide the best experience for our customers?
I think what gives us that confidence is how we connect our people with our process, our technology. We have a slogan, it's called Everyday Digital, but Everyday Digital is about understanding what our people do and then empowering them with technology to be able to do it more efficiently. So I think that's what's going to help us win. And if I'm biased, I think we have the best technicians and field service engineers and people in the world. Again, just our field service engineering team alone, 3,600 years of experience. And if we started adding in all the rest of the support that we have, the number would blow your mind, it'd blow the industry's mind. And so
I couldn't have said it better. I think it comes down to our people and enabling them with tools and training and processes to make their jobs easier, make them more efficient, allow them to spend that extra time with customers. I think that's what gives us the edge.
Well, Erica and Robert, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you providing more insight into why uptime isn't just a metric for us. It is real life for us and our customers. And at the end of the day, if they win, we all win.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Exactly. Yes, thank you. It was great to be here.
All right, so what's the big idea for this episode? The future of power isn't just technical, it's deeply human. What sets businesses apart is how they combine cutting-edge technology and the genuine understanding of their customers' realities, listening as a discipline, partnership as a mindset, and innovation as a way to deliver not just speed, but certainty and reliability.
Thank you for listening to Power Onward. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast platform. If you want to dig deeper on what we covered today, check out the show notes for additional links or go to cummins.com/podcast. Until next time, Power Onward. We're from Cummins, the company that's been innovating toward the future for more than 100 years. We're no strangers to rapid change, global shifts, and economic uncertainty. We want to be your constant during the energy transition. Whenever, wherever, forever. Power onward.